The 10 worst Drake lyrics ever. This one was a long time coming, and what better time to do it than following the release of his latest album, For All the Dogs. Surely there will be no lyrics from that extremely well-written album on this list. Speaking of well-written albums, do you have one that you want to publish on streaming services? If so, then the sponsor of today's video, DistroKid, is for you. I've worked with them a couple of times on my channel recently, so you might already know that they've been my music distribution platform of choice since 2017, and they still are to this day. If at any point you'd like to sign up with them, keep in mind that my referral link is down in the description below that will give you 7% off of your first year's membership with them, which is a discount on top of their already really affordable plans. They've recently released a new iPhone app that you can download today, and it's a great way to manage everything related to your music career. Want to get notified when you've earned some royalties and withdraw that cha-ching straight to your bank? You can do so immediately through the app. You can check how your music's performing on Apple and Spotify. Look at those numbers I'm still pulling in 6 years later. We're going big, baby. And you can edit any details about your release that you want to on there. If you want to add or update some cover art, for example, that's something that you can do straight from the app. You could use something from your camera roll, or you could just take a photo with your phone and use that for the cover if you really wanted to. And through the edit page on your release, you can even choose what part of your song plays as the preview on platforms like iTunes and TikTok, just to make sure that you can get those potential listeners hooked straight away. So if you want the best way to get your music distributed, click on my link down in the description below for 7% off of your first year's membership with them, and make sure to download that new iPhone app to easily manage everything related to your music career. Much love to DistroKid for sponsoring today's video. So with that being said, buckle up and get prepared for a fun ride through the cringiest lyrics in Aubrey's discography. Let's go.
You know I want it all, and then some. Shout out the Asian girls, let the lights dim some.
Now this one I'm including here as an honourable mention, partly to say, yeah, the bar is very corny, but at least it's a double entendre, but more so to say that there is a comment under the genius annotation of this lyric that is even worse. The annotation, of course, talks about the wordplay that we all got between letting the lights dim sum and the Asian food dish dim sum. But the comment below it, which has 36 upvotes for some reason, says dim sum. Also, as in, there's a stereotype that Asians have squinted eyes, so Drake is saying dim the lights because the light is too bright for their eyes. No, I don't think that's what Drake was saying at all. What the fuck? He's literally just doing wordplay with the dish dim sum and relating it to dimming the lights when he's having romantic moments with Asian women. Again, it's very corny, but I don't think it's a reference to a racist stereotype. Just thought I'd put this in here before the list because I saw it while making it and I just couldn't not talk about it here.
Way I'm dressed until I've been to $1,000. This bitch lie about getting shots, but she's still a stallion.
Now this lyric is terrible and has always been terrible, and I would place it higher in the list, but the only reason that I'm not doing so is because I already talked about it at decent length in my Poorly Aged Rap Lyrics 7 video, so if you want a deeper dive into this lyric, you can go check that out, but it is one of Drake's worst in my opinion. It's obvious that the line is a double entendre reference to the Megan Thee Stallion situation with Tory Lanez, and we can all see how terribly that's aged now, even though I would say this line was still bad when the song first came out. A pretty terrible lyric that, even as a joke, sides against the victim in a shooting situation. But hey, now let's get started with the top 10, and it definitely gets more lighthearted and cringy from here on out.
Supermodels and they all sexy. Lock the door to the bathroom cause they doing something that is not Pepsi.
You just really had to find some way to make cocaine fit into this rhyme scheme, didn't you, Drake? The previous line ending with all sexy, so these models are doing something that is not Pepsi. It's cool. This was from track 2 on Certified Lover Boy, and it was honestly great foreshadowing for the amount of cringy and corny forced bars that would be all throughout that project. I honestly think this might be the worst allusion to coke that I've ever heard in a rap song. Not Pepsi. I'm gonna start referring to crack rocks as doing something that is not Pebbles. Tesla Ecstasy is doing something that is not Honda. Poppers is something that is not confetti. You get the idea.
Widows in my comments talking about some Millie Bobby. Look, bring them jokes up to the game, we get to really flocking. Or send a finger to your mama in some FedEx boxes.
Now look, I have no clue what Millie Bobby Brown and Drake were texting about when he was in his 30s and she was 14. For all we know, it could mainly just be him offering advice to her as someone that was also a teenager in the acting industry at a young age.
You made me do this.
To me, that seems very reasonable and plausible, so that's not why I'm including this lyric on here. However, I think the worst way to clap back at people saying their friendship is weird is by saying, me and my friends will viciously attack you and cut off your finger like we're in the mafia if you bring that up around us in person. Then again, he did tell us on this album that he lives like sopranos, italianos. It's just me saying that playfully threatening violence against people who joke about it is probably the most defensive looking thing you can do. It's like the worst way to address it. Honestly, the best thing you can do if it is a completely innocent relationship and just somebody offering advice to someone that he sees in a situation that was similar to what he was in, with again being a young teenager in the acting industry, the best thing to do is just not address it and not say, me and my gang will fuck you up if you say that to us. All it really does is bring the topic back up.
Yeah, say that you a lesbian, girl, me too. Hey, girl, feel like I'm bi, cause you're one of the guys, girl.
You knew at least one of these bars had to be in here. They're both different sides of the same homosexual wordplay coin, with one of them in which Drake says that he's a lesbian because he likes girls too. Very clever. And another where he says it would feel gay to date a girl that hangs around with him and his friends because she's colloquially one of the guys. The ghostwriting allegations can't be true at this point if this is the result. Like, it just feels like Drake definitely wrote this. And the wild thing is, neither of these bars are the first time that Drake has had this exact type of wordplay in his music. These are both basically just lower effort versions of the let's be honest, let's be honest bar from Every Girl in 2009.
We drunk reminders. Are any of y'all into girls like I am? Let's be honest.
This type of stuff has got to be Drake's favorite pickup lines because he will not let this shit go. Who knows what he'll say next? Perhaps referring to a girl being wet as her gender fluid? Find out next time on Fuck's Sake, You Stopped Caring several albums ago.
You too worried about the bitches. I got one girl, and she my girl.
Now hear me out here. Hearing a man who has apparently wanted to propose to 42 different women in his lifetime claim to only have one girl is kind of hilarious. Does it really count as just having one girl if you're cycling through them with the pace of peak doped up Lance Armstrong? Bro is 36 at the time of writing this, and I doubt that a crazy amount of those relationships occurred before the age of 18, so if you do the math, he probably broke up with the girl that he was talking about in this lyric between the time of recording and releasing the song. Not necessarily an incorrect line, it's just kind of ironic with who the messenger is. He's not exactly the Chance the Rapper, I love my wife type. He doesn't have one.
Streets are seedy, I call them Sesame, this Ernie in Buckstown. Especially when these youngins get turned down for work opportunities next week. Same place to get burnt down, coinky dink, not likely.
There's so much here that makes me laugh out loud. It's like the perfect storm of the corny Nickelodeon rapper type bars. I mean, just the use of coinky dink alone instead of coincidence in his verse is hilarious. He was 19 years old at the time, so corny bars are definitely to be expected, but it just comes across to me as extra funny because this song is supposed to be serious, or at least have a somewhat serious tone to it. The beat has such a somber sound to it. The feature has a couple verses where he talks about his fears of being shot, and then Drake comes through talking about Bert and Ernie. It really makes it pop out as unintentionally hilarious.
I perfected my craft using Moses. Trying to make some cheese off a single is a process. Get it? Craft, single, cheese, process.
And then a year after the previous bar, Drake would drop this jam. It uses that technique that we've come to know modern Eminem for more and more, explaining the very obvious wordplay in the next line while also asking the listeners if they got the incredibly obvious wordplay. Yes, Drake, we got it. It's a surefire way to make any bar insanely lame. Like, take away the explainer portion of this line, and I'm pretty sure the majority of us caught what this line was talking about instantly. Kraft processed cheese slices, which are called singles. It was already corny, but explaining it doubled down on the corniness. Or should I say, cheesiness.
Whipped and changed you like American slave.
This is kind of an insane simile. It's not something no other rapper has said before with the whole whip equals cars and chains equals jewelry type of wordplay and then relating it to slavery. But the slower pace of this song allows you to really register every syllable and word Drake is saying as he's saying it, and you can almost see the line coming from a mile away. It's like a train crash that is about to happen and you want to stop it, but you can. It's just said in such a steady way that it makes it come across as even more out of pocket. It feels like an uncharacteristically shocking and edgy bar for Drake to throw in his songs.
In the same bed that you left me in. I love thick women cause my aunt, she rode equestrian.
I don't know how to interpret this line in a way where it's not weird with how it's worded. Is he now attracted to thick women because his aunt rode horses and it made her thick? And Drake liked that? Or was it the thick thighs that the horses had that got him riled up? It's either a point up on the board for Sigmund Freud or bestiality, and both are pretty horrific. Maybe something was lost in translation here, but it's probably not a good idea to mix in familial bars into a song that is pretty much entirely about sexual relationships.
We could've waited, I wasn't rushing. Difference in ages, you're old enough, but you're still a baby.
My god, man. So, using context from the lyrics, this song is presumed to be about Georgia Smith, who Drake was rumored to have dated when he was 30 and she was 19. And he's complaining in the bars about her supposed immaturity. I can't for the life of me picture why someone who hasn't even entered their 20s yet doesn't have the most amount of maturity or experience in relationships. It's an absolute head scratcher. It's not like they're in a whole different demographic age bracket to people in their 30s. Also, hearing the words, "you're old enough," and "we could have waited" in a song that references an age gap relationship is just really gross sounding. And even if Georgia happens to not be who the song is about, Drake is still complaining here about a girl who is younger than him by a big enough margin that he feels the need to specifically mention it, not being fully ready for a proper relationship. Yeah, no shit. Let's also not forget what I mentioned earlier, that this is a man who has wanted to propose to 42 different women throughout his life. It doesn't sound like he's the most mature in relationships either. Now, as I sometimes do with these videos, the number one lyric is not just one line or block of lyrics. This number one spot is dedicated to all of Drake's corny one-liners from his latest album, For All the Dogs, which, on the majority of songs, he delivers with all the energy and passion of a eulogy at a funeral for a person that you didn't really like. Enjoy.
We gon' find out that it's on site like www.onsitelike.com. Yeah, I'm anti cause I had it with you. Okay, I'm anti like your daddy's sister. Anti like a family picture. Like what's in your shoe? We socking niggas. Like what's on your wrist? We clocking niggas. Like tennis indoors, we squashing niggas. I stay with that on like a bagel. My dog in the can like a medallion. Got you out here moving weights like a belt. Message red like a brake light. Word sharp like a steak knife. We in the club with your gay friends. Always put you on a straight flight. Moving like Snoopy and Charlie Brown. Feel like you trying to dog the kid. Say you started dating girls now. Say it to me with a straight face. Oh, coming at the same time like Jinx. I'm talking dirty. And why see me later? We don't right there like New Jersey. So I wanna crack behind your back like a joke. So I wanna tear your box out like a coach. Get inside and bend a dick just like the Pope. Girl, I want us hanging in the summer like a coat. Girl, I wanna slide in your box like a vote. We copping cars like policemen. We heavy guys like obese men. Me gusta su sonrisa, aunque me haga daño. I live like sopranos, italianos. You try to grace me, but where
Oh my god. The jury is still out for me personally on whether or not For All the Dogs is a bottom 3 album in Drake's discography, but one of the things that's absolutely for certain is it's one of his worst written when it comes to the wordplay and the punchlines. Bro was on his Eminem revival shit right here. Shout out to Tabby, aka @VeryPaleHipster on Twitter for making this image. It's very accurate. I will admit, some of his one-liners here do make me laugh, mostly towards the start of the album, but it really wears you down with how long this project is, and how much of the lyrics are just an absolute barrage of lame dad jokes. Biding my time with you, then things got political literally sounds like a terrible Eminem bar. He gon' find out that it's on site like www, on site like .com. That's probably the first time where I've been listening to a Drake song and thought to myself, damn, he truly sounds old right here. Like a 50-year-old rapper trying to sound up to date with technology bars. Message read like a brake light, words sharp like a steak knife. Get the old ghostwriters back on the payroll, I'm begging you. I could read many more of these lines to you guys with my thoughts on why they're awful, but that would end up making this video as long as For All the Dogs. It's an album with plenty of lyrics so cringeworthy that they deserve their own spot at the very top of this list. So that is gonna be it for today's video. What do you guys think are the worst Drake lyrics so far? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'm sure we'll get more of them on the next album. Thank you so much for watching, and you can click here to watch my twins' reaction to Drake's Fat D. And as always, much love to my channel members and Patreon supporters over here, with a special shout out to Griffin Upchurch, I Am Regent, KWG13270, Lucas1123, and Not Vimpen.